Hi, my name is Erinn Renyer and I'm with Washburn University. I'm here to lend a hand with KMEA All-State Orchestra Excerpts. These are to help those that don't have applied lessons with anyone or for someone who wants some supplemental help with these excerpts. The first thing we're going to start with today is the scales. So we have the F major and the E melodic minor scales. Starting with the F major scale, the most important thing to integrate obviously is the slurs. So the first thing we're going to do is take out the slurs. We want to make sure we're focusing on the left hand and making sure it's all refined before we start adding the bow with the slurs. So I always like to start a scale at the top instead of starting at the bottom. So what you want to first do is locate your E harmonic and then put your second finger down. The fingering we have for the descending scale is 2, 1, shift back to a 2 for the D, 1 for the C, shift back to a 3 for the B flat, so your 2 is on the A harmonic, 1 for the G, shift back to third position for the 4 for the F, and so on. So here we are, taking it nice and slow at the high F. So working on that portion of the scale is the hardest part, and if you get that conquered, you're in good shape. So once you do that, there's a couple other approaches you can take. One of my favorites is called the stack scale. So stack scale integrates all 3 octaves from an ascending approach. So you start on your lowest F, your middle F, and then here you want to make sure that you're doing the proper fingering for that top F, which would happen to be 4 because we're in third position. Then you add on from there. So on and so on. Then you're able to fill the whole scale out, learning all the octaves as a reference one at a time, and then you thread them all together. That also works really well with the descending scale too. I won't go into that today, but you can go ahead and practice that way with that scale. Now you're ready to add the slurs. Now, in order to add the slurs, you want to be able to focus on the turnaround of the slur. So my suggestion is to only overlap to the note after the bow change. So for instance, that way you're really making sure you're changing at the right, correct moment, and then only chewing a little bit of the scale at a time. So working from that point, you would add the next slur. All the while reinforcing what you're trying to accomplish by layer effect. This is also helpful when you're doing descending. Going up to that high note, you're starting with an up bow, and then you're working the toughest part of the scale with the slur from the top. So then you have the whole scale put together. Now moving on to the E melodic minor scale. This one's a different approach. Of course, we're supposed to be doing quarter note equals 60, so we want to be able to make sure that we are very fluid with our shifts. This scale integrates melodic minor, so we have a raised C sharp and D sharp on the way up, but we go back to C natural and D natural on the way down. And we want to make sure that we are playing both of these independently. So again, start with the scale going up this time because it's a little bit more difficult. And if you'll notice in the notes that you'll see at the end of this program, you'll see the fingerings that I suggest. I do a lot of second position and third or 3.5 position to make it more fluid. So my suggestion is to start off in second position on the E. 1, 3, open 1, 3, shift to 3.5 position on the C sharp. 1, 3, 4, back to second position on the F sharp. 2, open first position, 1, 3, shift to 3.5, 1, 2, and then go to fourth position, 3, 4, thumb 1, extended 2, shift 1, 2. I'm going to play that for you now. So that's the scale going up. Going down is a lot easier. Really the only 2 parts that you have to be careful about is right away pivoting back a whole step with your 1 and then slipping through and shifting a half step back to the C natural for the note afterwards. So when you practice this scale, again, you could work on layer effect if it makes it easier. So you're starting with that high E again, finding a harmonic, starting with an up bow, then, and so on. And then you stream both of the scale together, going up and going down. So that's my advice for both of the scales. Hopefully it helps a little bit. Wish you luck. Happy practicing.